Today we're going to determine how much oxygen is in the atmosphere.
Spencer, how are you going to do that?
To do this, we're going to use a big petri dish, a candle, some matches, a wax pencil, a test tube, and 2 graduated cylinders, and a beaker of water.
Spencer, what should the students do?
The students should go to the place on the lab that says drawing. They'll draw a picture of what the setup will look like. Students, you can pause this video now in order to draw your picture. So we have this test tube here, and we need to figure out the volume of air that the test tube can hold before we can figure out the percentage of oxygen.
Spencer, how can you do that without opposable thumbs?
Wake up, I need some help. Wake up! Wake up! I'm trying to show the kids the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere, but first I need to find out what the volume of this test tube is, and I don't have opposable thumbs.
Sure, Spencer, I'd be happy to help you. In order to do this, we're going to fill up the test tube to the very top with water. Once it's at the very top, we're going to take the water that's in the test tube, pour it into the graduated cylinder. You'll read the graduated cylinder to determine the volume of air. Pause the video to record the volume in the appropriate place on your data table and then resume the video.
Thanks, Dr. Cummins, for helping out. I think I can take it from here now.
Spencer, what are you going to do next?
Now that we know what the volume of the test tube is, we can determine what percentage of the air that was in the test tube is actually oxygen. To do this, I'm going to use the petri dish with the candle attached. I'm going to fill up the bottom of the petri dish with some water. Then I'm going to light the candle. Then I'm going to place the test tube over the lit candle.
Spencer, how can you do that without opposable thumbs?
Wake up! I need help again.
Sure, Spencer, I'd be happy to help you. The candle flame will burn the oxygen in the air and create a vacuum. As the candle burns up the oxygen, there's going to be less pressure in the test tube and more pressure on the outside of the test tube. Water will be drawn up into the test tube to even out the pressure caused by the missing oxygen. Once there's no oxygen left to burn, the candle will go out. The amount of water that was drawn up into the test tube should equal the amount of oxygen that was in the air. Now I'll use the wax pencil to draw a line at the water level. Remove the test tube and fill it with water up to the line. Then I'll pour that water into the 10 milliliter graduated cylinder. Your measurement is the volume of air in the test tube after the candle goes out. Pause the video to record the volume in the appropriate place on your data table and then resume the video.
So we know what the volume of air in the test tube is at the start, and we also know what the volume of air in the test tube is after the candle goes out. But how do we figure out the volume of oxygen?
To determine the volume of oxygen, take the volume of air in the test tube after the candle goes out and subtract that from the volume of the air in the test tube at the start. Please pause your video now while you do that calculation.
So now we have the volume of air in the test tube at the start, the volume of air in the test tube after the candle goes out, and we use that to determine the volume of oxygen. But how do we figure out the percentage of oxygen in the air?
To determine the percentage of oxygen in the air, take the volume of oxygen in the test tube, divide it by the total volume of air in the test tube at the start, and then multiply that by 100. Please pause the video now and put your result in the space provided.
Now that you have all your data, please answer the questions on the bottom of your lab.